Welcome back to 340 Paddler, and this is Rest Week, Week 5. Why in the world do you need rest? Well, first of all, physically, I want to give your body a little bit of time to recuperate. Secondly, mentally, this will be important. It's not as important early on here, but it is going to be important as training continues, that you take a rest week. And a rest week does not mean nothing. You will not be sitting on your couch with Ben and Jerry. But you will be doing something because you want to get to Scott Reeves's level, racing down the Missouri River in crazy record time. So, how do you get there? Well, this week we are doing cardio. Next week we will start adding some core work, but for now we're going to continue with cardio. Now, for week 4, you should have run 30 minutes 3 days per week, or bike 3 days per week 30 minutes, or swim 25 minutes 3 days a week. And remember, I'm saying or. Don't do all of them. You would end up in an Ironman sort of situation at that point. And we aren't Iron Men. We're veterans of the 340. So, week 5. Like I said, you're not going to do nothing. We're actually backtracking a little bit here. You're going to run 20 minutes 3 days a week, or bike 20 minutes 3 days a week, or swim 20 minutes 3 days a week. The reason for backing off, I've already explained, but the way that we're doing it, we're trying to maintain what you have so that you're not coming in at a lower level when we start into week 6. I said week 6 things were going to change up a little bit. Well, we're going to be working on some core work and start incorporating a couple of core exercises a couple of days a week. So that raises the obvious question: when do I get a six-pack? Good question. No idea. Don't have one. What I can tell you is a six-pack is developed in the kitchen, not in the gym. So there's a lot of great videos about getting a six-pack if you want to get one, or you can get the Abhancer, my favorite product. But what are we going to do with core? Well, first of all, let's talk about what the core is, because everyone thinks of core in terms of the abdomen, but in fact, it's the abdomen and back. As you can see here, it's the visible muscles, but also muscles underneath the fascia of the abdomen. So we have the internal obliques, we have the transverse abdominis, we have a lot of muscles underneath there, and those are the ones that you're going to be using for a lot of your paddling. It's not necessarily these smaller ones on the surface. So while you can be really strong in the core, it might not look like it. Although in my experience, speaking for myself at least, usually I'm a lot weaker in the core than I think I am. That happens to a lot of people. You sit there and go, well, I can do this and that. Well, can you do it a lot? That would be the question. Now for the 340 and for paddling, it's not so much the abdomen that we're worried about. It's more the back. It's going to be the lats. It's going to be the muscles of the very low back. It's going to be the trapezius and the gluteal muscles. The reason is paddling is ultimately pulling. Whether you're canoeing, single blading, whether you're double blading, you're going to be pulling. And that motion is going to be coming from your back, not your abdomen. Your abdomen is going to be trying to compensate against all of that pulling every time you go forward in the recovery phase of a stroke. So, this is our average paddler. This is not me. I'm far less muscular. And here in red, we see the muscles that tend to be the strongest for a paddler. They also tend to be the tightest. So we're looking at the hip flexors, the trapezius, the front of the shoulder. And then we have muscles that will be underdeveloped in most paddlers, and they'll be a little bit looser. So the upper back, the abdomens, the glutes. Now, you wouldn't think that we need to work on the glutes much, but of course this is holding you upright. So this is going to be a very important muscle. The upper back here is pulling your head up, keeping you in a good position in the boat. And as discussed, the abdomen is of course helping with the recovery. So What we need to do is loosen up these red muscle groups while at the same time building up and tightening the green ones. And there's a few different ways we're going to do that, most of which we'll start getting into next week. And as we go through this, the key is to start focusing on the low back, because that's frequently where people will give out. And we're going to deal with the obliques, because with any paddling motion, there is a twist involved. So we want to catch those muscles. You probably won't come out of this with a six-pack. But if you want a six-pack, like I said, lots of resources out there to get it. At the end of the day, I want to see you get to the end of the race. I want to see you get to the end of the race on Thursday. I want to see you competing up front, if at all possible. So, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, quarrels, qualms, quandaries, curse words, please leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, this is 340 Paddler, hoping that you keep your paddle in the water.